Did we just get the confirmation of a bear market and that we are falling even more down in Bitcoin right now? With this statement, I want to start this video. Welcome to this video here. 2 days after we had the last update video, I want to come on here and give you guys another Bitcoin and crypto update for what basically happened with the new weekly close, etc., etc. In the last video, we spoke about the EMA, the 50 EMA that is very important on the 50 on the weekly time frame that we now lost. We had a weekly close under the 50 EMA, as you guys can see. We closed here around $94,300, which is basically around the 61.8 Fibonacci zone. In the last video, we already spoke about why that is so important, because the 50 EMA was often or is usually there for support. In this video, I'm going to speak about my current plan. I'm going to speak about both the positive and also definitely the negative things, because I have to admit there are some actually right now more negative points than positive points when it comes to Bitcoin. But I can tell you already that I'm not going to put my head into the sand right now. I'm not going to sell everything right away. I have a proper plan here, and we're going to speak about everything in detail, right? So again, as I said, 50 EMA on the weekly we have lost. Why was it important? As we said also in the last video, we had always support here. We never closed under it. And if we did close under, usually it was a sign of a bear market. But I have to say, and there is a positive example here, I think we spoke about it in the last video as well, that we had in the previous cycle, in the previous bull cycle, we already had one weekly close under the 50 EMA here in yellow, which was here on the 12th of July, right? Which then obviously led to the next weekly candle closing bullish above it and then making another around 120% move from the lows, 138 even, right? So we have a positive example, but we also have a negative example afterwards where we closed under the 50 EMA again, which was a sign for bear market, because then we had a little bit of a pullback, went down and had the bear market. But this pullback here is very important, because if we do get another weekly candle close under it, which I'm also going to speak about in a second, then we might get a retracement to the upside that we, of course, can use again for trades, or also, of course, to exit our spot positions, right? But this is a little bit too far for now, right? But as I said, we have a let's say positive example here that we already had a weekly close under it and then we recovered. But we also see that usually that is a sign of of an early bear market, right? We have, but often we also do get a retracement before that, which is also called the complacency zone in the emotional market cycle, or a bull trap, like a trap to give people the thought we are still in a bull run. So a little bit of a hopium here, and then we go down. So we definitely need to be careful here and really make sure we are watching the market very, very closely. But overall, as we already said in the video before, we are still in the uptrend, right? So as of right now, we are still in the trend. We are at the 61.8 zone. Yes, we lost the 50 EMA, but I also do want to say that I don't want to make everything based on the EMA, right? It is one indicator, and the signs that we are coming into a bear market are, coming closer, 100%. I don't want to be um, blindfolded and just think bullish, right? That's stupid. So I definitely see the point. We have the 50 EMA closed, and we are still in an uptrend. And right now, we are we're having actually another positive thing here, that we have closed the weekly over the 61.8, and we also do see a nice reaction for now. What we also have to take into consideration usually is a CME gap, right? When the CME gap is usually if we have a close on the traditional markets on Friday, we don't, like, the CME futures chart is not being traded, right? That means if we have an opening far away from the closing price, then we have a gap, and this gap is usually being filled. We can see examples here, for example, right? Let me go on a lower time frame, right? So you can see examples Here, for example, we had like a closing and an opening, and this gap was basically filled here. So usually like it's definitely like easy to tell where the market can go. Here we can see it as well. We had a gap, of course, we didn't close it here. We had another high, so it was pretty, we could kind of guess already that the market eventually comes down there. It did, and then it made the move up. Here again, we moved up, we closed it, we even closed it completely, right? So these gaps are very important also in my trading strategy to kind of see, okay, where can we go? Right now, we don't have any gap, so we don't need to take this into consideration. We had a small, very, very small gap um, from basically Friday. Here you can see it to Monday, so there was like a small gap here, but we closed it already right away, so everything good here. So in this case, we don't need to really look out for something like that. Well, what we also do have to take into consideration, though, is the EMA ribbons. It's basically the same like the EMA, is just that they're also like there's basically the 45, the 40, the 35, and stuff like that. But you can usually see like we are going with a trend, right? We're coming into here, and we're usually going with a trend. And every time we lose it, that usually means that we are in a bear market, as you guys can see here. Yes, we have lost it here, as I said, like the 50 EMA is this one here, but then we used it as a support, broke through it, retested it again, and we were in a bear market, right? So here we can see as well, usually it does, it does. Also in the cycles before, we see here 2017, like we were always trading with it. We did never really closed under it. And here, when we closed under it, we did get the retracement, but we came into the bear market, right? So it is just something that we saw in the past already that, that's why I take it serious here too. Even if we go a little bit more down in the past, we can see here as well. Even in 2013, we used it always as a support, right? You can see here we used it as support. Before then, we basically closed under it where we saw, okay, this is definitely it, right? So, I mean, obviously here we had a break of structure, like a structure break to the upside, but if we would use the EMA ribbons as a confirmation, we wouldn't trade these areas here, like this order block here, for example, because this was an early sign of the market retracing, right? So again, there are some points that definitely are not looking so good, not gonna lie. But there are still some positive things. As we said, we had already in the last cycle some examples. We do have a cycle now where institutions are in, so a little bit more manipulation for sure. So the macros, the macro plays, let's say like we have a potential um, rate cut on 10th of December. I still think we do have that. We have this upcoming Wednesday, we have Nvidia earnings that are potentially 7.5% over what they had before. So we will see an increase of market cap of over $300 billion. And I think that will be very, very positive for the traditional markets and also for crypto, because if the traditional markets are pumping, then usually crypto is also pumping, including Bitcoin. So what I do want to see now in Bitcoin is very, very simple. I do want to see um, I do want to see an impulsive move within this week. I want to see a close that is minimum, right? If we speak about that, I minimum want to have as like a 60 to 70%. So basically that we are coming into this area here, right? And we are closing the weekly candle best case over the 50 EMA. If we don't do that, I mean, that is another bearish sign that gives another confirmation kind of that we are really in a bear market. So, but what I do want to say here, what I mentioned before, is that we have a new cycle, right? We have institutions in. So that case, think about what the market makers are doing. And of course, the market makers know for a fact that we are watching the EMAs, right? We are watching the moving averages. So what I do want to say here, that this could be a manipulative move, and that could be the best entry that we could actually get. So I am open to open positions here on Bitcoin, but let's actually go quick on one more thing. here on BTC. But I just said, right, I do want to see a close over it. But let's do look on actually um, some updates here on the on-chain data that we spoke about last time. I'm not going to go over everything, but we do see the short-term holders. By the way, if you don't know what it is, short-term holders are everyone that is in the market less than 6 months. We do see that the short-term holders are now on massive loss. We can see it a little bit more. Like, what is here the down move? We see over 17%, 17.6%. The short-term holders are in minus. What's the positive thing is these short-term holders are holding onto their positions in minus. That is another positive thing, I would say, right? That's another positive thing, I would say, not a negative, because again, as we said already, everything what we talked about the last video is still intact, that the retail is like capitulating and the whales are still buying. So that is a positive thing, right? We can see it here as well. When we take a look on the short-term holder to exchanges, we saw obviously that on the on in the last days, we saw a lot of basically, like what you can see here, we have seen on the 15th November, 64,000 bitcoins, over 64,000 were sent to exchanges in loss, right? But you can see here now it basically is going less and less and less, right? You can see here less and less and less are being sent to the exchanges. So the numbers are decreasing, which is positive, right? And also here, when we take a look on the new whales, right? We want to speak about the new whales here. Let's actually put that here. We do see, yes, they took profits, right? They took negative profits even. Um, as we mentioned in the video before, 648 million on the 13th of November. But now here it also decreases. So the numbers of whales that are taking profits in the negative are decreasing. So that means another thing that I said here, the whales that are in big losses, they're still willing to hold these positions. So they're not capitulating, which would be a very bad sign. So again, on-chain data say the same here, that everything is good so far. If we're taking a look on the liquidation heat maps, right, we do see that a lot of like liquidation levels, for people that don't know it, like basic liquidation levels is where the traders get liquidated. So the whole position gets liquidated. Um, so new traders are coming in and shorting Bitcoin here, and a big cluster is at 97,550 on the 3-day heat map. We do see also some more long positions came in. So he had 92,700, only 247 million. So yes, we do have some levels coming in. If we do see on the higher time frame, let's actually take the monthly. We do see that we have here a lot um, being erased for sure. Like you guys can see it here. We do have still a little bit, but the most of it is coming now over us. Also, if we go on a little bit more of a higher time frame here, that's more the short-term ones. We see here as well, obviously, almost everything is basically cleaned out. So also the liquidation heat maps they speak about, or they show a potential bottom region. But as I said, we do need to have some sort of confirmation here, and we do need to have an increase of price in Bitcoin. As of right now, we have the New York opening in about 15 minutes. Like I'm doing this video right now at 14:15 German time, like European time. So let's see how the market is reacting when New York is opening and when the US people coming in. But what would I do right now? Like, what would I do right now in Bitcoin short term? So let's actually see. We do have the following scenario here. So we are, as I said, on the 61.8. So this was a very interesting area here that is obviously interesting for trading. So, but what I do now, or what I do see now, is we saw a clean break. We had these levels here coming, like, we talked about it in the last video, basically, that we had this range that was really interesting. We did jump down a little bit more. What we didn't get any confirmation here with a market structure shift, at least not a clean market structure shift with an entry. So what we see now on the lower time frame is we finally got some nice clean to the upside here. So, and also what I'd also wanted to mention is on the higher time frame on Bitcoin, we now got a bullish divergence in. If you don't know, here you can see it. If you don't know what a bullish divergence is, this is another positive thing, by the way, to mention. Yes, we also have some positive stuff. It's basically when the RSI is increasing in price, so it's moving more to the middle, but we have, as you can see here, a falling price. This is usually a good sign of a potential reversal, and especially because we got it on the 4-hour time frame, that is another positive thing, right? That is definitely another positive thing. What I do see here, the MACD is still on, at least on the higher time frames, is still in the bearish momentum. But if we go on the lower time frames, as you can see here on the 50 minutes, we're creating some good bullish momentum. 30 minutes to 1 minute, 1 hour, we also start to have a bullish momentum here. So that could be a potential a good setup here. What I do think though, I mean, we do see it here. If we put the fixed range volume profile, we do have the point of control up here. So we really need to see what's happening here. In general, we do have this setup here. If we do get something like this, right, we do come down to the 61.8, the 71 area down here, and then we get some sort of confirmations on the lower time frame, like something like this right now. I would definitely wait for confirmations. And something like this, we can trade this setback here. Here we didn't really get any chance. I actually went into a conviction play here with this entry. So we had here some nice movement. We had a here basically we had this bullish momentum, as I said, and then we had this engulfing candle. So I did went in. The thing is, I did close my trade as well. I did close my trade because we have seen the weekly candle close, so I was basically awake until 1 a.m. to kind of see how the market is closing. So the weekly close was negative, so I did close my position in small profits. It would have been even more profits, but I wanted to make sure that I trade safe here. So I do want to wait for another pullback and some sort of lower time frame schematic, as I already explained in the video before. So that is a little bit about Bitcoin right now. So what I do want to see, as I said, we want to see a pullback. We are at the moment at the point of control level. That's completely fine. Let's see how we react here. If we do get a setback and then a market structure shift to the upside on the lower time frame, so in this case here on the 5 minute, I would consider taking here a position, but that's it for now, right? We do have to take into consideration that we also have basically, as you can see here, we do have obviously a bearish setup here as well. So what I do want to see, best case scenario, let's put the EMA ribbons here. If we do get an entry down here, we can see that we have a 1 hour setup. Let me actually see that here. We have a 1 hour setup, like this big area here. I do want to have seen, or I do want to see that retrace. So if we put the fixed range volume profile to understand where we can see potential retracement areas, we can see, yes, we are currently, let me actually see that. We are currently seeing here that we have a point of control down here. So if we win that, that's already good. But for sure, let me actually switch on the higher time frame here as well. Yeah, we do have the 4 hour break to the downside. So what I do want to see here is definitely a pullback to this area, 61.8. So we do have a lot of potential to do get a retracement, even though it is bearish. We do have a retracement trading wise to the 101,963 to the 103,296, and even to the market cycles between 104,398 to 105,847. Here I would definitely, if I find a long position, I would definitely take something out of my trade in this area. So I will definitely take profits here, because that is still a bearish move to the downside, like a bearish trend that we see. We have seen a big market structure shift here to the downside. So again, this could be the areas where I do want to take profits when we get some sort of long position here with confirmations, right? And here I will definitely think about a hedge short position. So opening up a short position just to save myself up in case we do want to go to the downside even more. So I also obviously benefit from the market falling, right? This is currently my look on Bitcoin. As I said, very, very important that we do see a weekly candle close over the 50 EMA this week. I wouldn't say I'm completely capitulating now, because as I said, we have a different market. We have new market participants that can potentially have interest in manipulating us. So I quickly want to give you guys an update also to Ethereum, because Ethereum actually um, looks very good. Ethereum on the daily, on the higher time frame, is currently in the 61.8. So it looks very strong, in my opinion, compared to Bitcoin, right? It looks very strong. We are also oversold here. On the 4 hour, we also have a bullish divergence in. As you guys can see, we have the same pattern like in Bitcoin. Bullish divergence we have here, basically a lower price. So that again can also be something very, very interesting. We do have a break to the upside here as well, very clearly done. So that could be a potential position that I do want to consider for taking, right? Let's actually take the whole thing here to just see. But the POC, of course, is up there. Pretty, yeah. So here, just a manipulation candle. So what I do want to see here is move to the upside. Boom. Actually. So down here. So here, that could be another very interesting area in the 61.8 to the 71 area, because we have the point of control here of this uptrend. We do have a small manipulation candle here, but on the line chart we see that this is not relevant. So this area here, very, very interesting to take longs in Ethereum. Low leverage longs, of course, like don't over risk here. With confirmations would be the best. If we see some sort of movement like this here, doesn't need to be like this, but let's say something like this would be the best. We get some sort of retracement, and then we can go into the market. So this is a little bit of Ethereum. Higher time frame, as I just said, looks great. Yes, we do see a retracement, but everything looks great so far. Solana as well. Solana looks pretty much similar, a little bit more down though. So Solana has created a new low, yes, but we are still in an area where I think it's very interesting to buy. We can see here this bearish movement from the MACD, and then we had this uptrend. So also here on the higher time frame, we are still into the area where I think it's definitely interesting to take a position. As you can see here as well, same thing for Ethereum. So if we do come down here into the 61.8, 137 to 136 would be very, very interesting for me to take buy positions in Solana as well. With, though, we have to say same thing here as well. We do have on the higher time frame, we do have a new bearish structure, which can be a profit scenario if we get some sells here. There we go. So something like this. Here in the areas of 157 up to 160 and also 136 to 167 could be potential take profit scenarios for for our positions here, it would be the 38.2, 61.8, 88.6, which are my normal take profit scenarios. But we need to be aware that we have broken structure to the downside. So we are definitely in a bearish trend until we basically win this high here again. So be careful with long positions, take profits, very, very important. And last but not least, XRP. XRP is pretty much the same thing. XRP has a nice, like still some nice movement to the upside. We are still in an uptrend on the daily, so everything good here. We're in the trend reversal zone. So basically the same thing here in XRP. Even though I don't really like XRP movement right now. So I would rather take a position, because here we have a higher high. I would rather take a position on Solana or Ethereum rather than XRP, because XRP is moving really, really weird, to be honest. But we do have, of course, the move to the upside, a retracement. We hold the low, and then here we have the new high. So in this case, there would be a potential setup for sure, as you can see here on the lower time frame, between $2.20 down to $2.19, and then of course with the volume area low in the area of $2.18 to $2.16. So that could be very, very interesting. Altcoin wise, let's give you two good charts that I personally really like. That's Chainlink number one. Chainlink looks really, really good. Um, we do have still the daily range that you guys can see here. Up move to the upside. We are right now in the trend reversal zone. So Chainlink looks very, very good too. Where I would take potentially a new trade here. We haven't seen any break on the 1 hour or on the other time frames yet. Here we did, but yeah, that could be a very, very interesting take here. On near, for example, same thing. We have on near a nice move in the 78.6. We're still ranging here, so that is a very, very interesting one. But we do have a clean break to the upside, right? So this is even a better example. We do have this retracement here already. So as you can see, we have some support levels down here. So right now we are in an accumulation zone here. Near protocol looks very, very nice, especially if you think about the monthly earnings or the quarterly earnings from Nvidia coming out on Wednesday, since Near is an AI project, same like Nvidia is an AI company. So the area between $2.27 down to $2.14 can be a very, very substantial level for me to open swings. So if you guys are looking out for altcoin swings, Near protocol looks very, very interesting, right? With that being said, guys, I think you guys got some value. If you have any questions and feedback, please let me know in the chat down in the comments. And I would really appreciate a like and a follow. And as I said, some feedback so I know what you guys want to have. With that being said, over and out. We talk soon, and stay safe in the space. I'm going to update you guys when there's something to update.